Welcome to the first episode in a new Legendarium series about Dante's Inferno. In the first installment, Through the Gates of Hell, we will talk briefly about the life of Dante Alighieri and then begin an analysis of Dante's journey through hell. The author Dante Alighieri was born in Florence during the year 1265 under the sign of Gemini, which means his birthday fell sometime between May 21st and June 20th. He remained devoted to his native city all his life. However, Italy remained a troubled country, not only divided into many city-states, but those states had parties within them loyal to either the papacy or the Holy Roman Emperor. So if you wanted some peace and quiet, medieval Italy was not the place to find it. Dante himself served as a cavalry officer against the Ghibellines, a Florentine party that supported the emperor against the papacy. Rivalries could be brutal and deadly, with one side or another gaining the upper hand and then taking revenge upon their enemies. Indeed, Dante spent years in exile for supporting the papal party after the imperial party took power in Florence. Yet life was more than war and politics. Under the guidance of a great teacher named Brunetto Latini and his gifted friend Guido Cavalcante, Dante began writing poetry in times of peace. Dante took great pride in considering himself a descendant of the Romans. Indeed, many literate Italians at the time believed that the survivors of Troy, which was conquered by the Greeks in the Trojan War, had come to Italy and eventually founded the Roman Empire. This reverence for ancient Rome and disdain for ancient Greece would also show through in Dante's writing. And of course, Inferno was Dante's masterpiece. The Inferno, widely believed to be one of the great classics of Western literature, details Dante's journey through the 9 circles of hell. Curiously, the entire poem, the Divine Comedy, describes a journey of redemption that begins in hell, then moves through purgatory and finally paradise. Yet the first third of the book, which details the journey through hell, has become the most famous by far, inspiring artists, writers, sculptors, filmmakers, and even video games. Indeed, the hellmouths sculpted upon the doors of late medieval churches, portraying sinners being punished by demons, took inspiration primarily from Dante's Inferno. The voyage begins during Easter week in the year 1300, almost 20 years before the book's publication. It starts on Good Friday. Dante, who is the narrator, describes himself as being lost in a dark wood in the middle of his life. This symbolizes a spiritual crisis. He writes, "Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Ah me, how hard a thing it is to say. What was this forest savage, rough and stern, which in the very thought renews the fear?" Dante sees a mountain where he believes he can find his way out of the forest. He also hopes to find a pathway to heaven, so he will be reunited with his spiritual love, a woman named Beatrice. While Dante got married, he only knew a real Beatrice briefly during his younger years, yet wrote her in to his epic poem. And so Dante's wife may have proved that his path was blocked by 3 terrible beasts, a leopard, a lion, and a she-wolf. The 3 beasts represented lust, pride, and greed, respectively. Returning in despair to the dark valley, Dante sees a human form in the woods, which soon reveals itself to be the spirit of the great Roman poet Virgil. Dante considered Virgil, a Roman who wrote their national epic, the Aeneid, to be the greatest of all poets. As such, Dante is, of course, ecstatic to meet him. That delight only grows when Virgil reveals that Beatrice sent him. Yet while Virgil prophesies that a hound will one day chase away the she-wolf, for now they must take a different route. Before they reach heaven, they must go through hell and then purgatory. For a time, Dante is paralyzed by fear, knowing that only two men, Paul the Apostle and Virgil himself, have escaped hell. Virgil rebukes his cowardice, and the journey continues. As Dante nears the gates of hell, he reads an inscription that provides the poem with its most famous line. He writes, "Through me the way is to the city dolent. Through me the way is to eternal dole. Through me the way among the people lost. Justice incited by my sublime Creator created me, divine omnipotence, the highest wisdom and the primal love. Before me there were no created things, only etern, and I eternal last. All hope abandon, ye who enter here." Indeed, hope is hard to find in hell. Dante soon hears cries of torment, and Virgil explains that these cries come from the souls of those who did not commit to either God or Satan. Therefore, neither heaven nor hell will have them. These souls, including angels who sided with neither God nor Satan, reside in the Ante-Inferno, within hell, yet not truly part of it. They must chase constantly after a blank banner that symbolizes their lack of loyalty. Flies and wasps bite them all the time, and writhing worms consume the blood and tears that flow from them. This is only a taste of what is to come. Virgil leads Dante to a great river called ACHERON, which marks the border of hell. A crowd of newly dead souls, wailing and cursing, wait to be taken across. A boat approaches with an old man named ACHERON at its helm. ACHERON recognizes Dante as a living soul and tells him to keep away. But once Virgil informs ACHERON that their journey has been ordained from on high, the ferryman troubles them no longer. Of course, ACHERON the ferryman and even the river ACHERON are both lifted from Greco-Roman mythology, replaced by Christianity centuries before Dante. So why does Dante often refer to Greco-Roman tradition, despite his values being decidedly Christian? Dante believed that Christianity had subsumed these pagan traditions, incorporating them to serve the Christian faith. Furthermore, Dante was himself inspired by the Roman poets he admired so much, most notably Virgil, but often tries to show throughout the poem that he has exceeded the classical masters not only in style, but by praising God rather than what he calls the false gods who lie. Now Dante visits the first circle of hell, populated by virtuous non-Christians and unbaptized pagans punished with eternity in an inferior form of heaven. Dante likely created this first circle to provide an at least somewhat pleasant afterlife for the Romans he admired so much. They live in a castle with 7 gates, which symbolize the 7 virtues. Here Dante sees many prominent people from antiquity such as Homer, Socrates, Aristotle, Cicero, Hippocrates, and Julius Caesar. Curiously, many of these ancient figures are described wearing medieval dress rather than the tunics and togas of their own time, with such anachronisms being a staple of medieval art. Dante asks Virgil if anyone ever escaped hell, and Virgil refers to an episode called the harrowing of hell. In that time, the resurrected Christ freed the souls of Old Testament figures such as Moses and Noah, then led them to heaven. The first part of their journey into hell finished, Virgil then takes Dante deeper into the 9 circles where things will get really bad. That wraps things up for this episode of The Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.